And it's not just about Facebook, it's not just about Twitter or Instagram. Do think about these other things, threads. I'm not going to talk about that anymore because it's clear I don't know anything about it. So there are things like Pinterest that practices sometimes use. There's some resources on there if you want to go and have a look through Pinterest. It's like an electronic pin board, so you could use that to keep all your resources together rather than having it on your website, if that was easier to do for you. And then really thinking about how to get that engagement, and that's the hardest thing, and I found that really, really difficult, going to a practice where I had 2,500 people down to, I think we had 15 likes when I started at the beginning of this year. So some of those things that you can do, and this is a bit of a refresher from last time. You've got to post regularly. You've got to think like your patients. So what is it that they're doing? What newspapers are they reading? Sadly, that means sometimes I have to look at the Daily Mail in the morning. Join local groups, infiltrate those places where they're moaning about you, and you don't always have to be serious. So the most popular posts for me this year have been these, and it's really annoying because I spend ages thinking about what we're going to post on there. I'm always thinking about what could we do, and one day I was walking along the canal next to the practice and I saw the swan on its nest, and I posted a picture to say the swan's on its nest. Everybody liked it, and then I posted another when the cygnets hatched. Everybody loved it, shared it loads. So now I've got myself into this thing where we have to keep posting about the bloody swans. But what it means is loads of people have liked the bloody swans and shared the swans, and our likes and our traffic has gone up massively. We can see the day when we post a swan, it peaks. So it doesn't have to be a swan, it could be whatever that thing is that's near your practice that people might be interested in, but it could get people to come to your practice. So it doesn't always have to be serious. So find your own swan. So I'm really conscious we've run over, so I've done a bit of a whistle stop through that. Is there any questions? Oh, yeah. I think, Joe, are we happy to do IGPM questions as well, if anyone's got any?
Oh yeah, so I'm the digital transformation lead for PCN in
Oh gosh, like a proper person who knows what they're doing.
a little bit, but I've been discussing this with friends and colleagues in similar areas. There's not much structured training out there for managing social media. So a lot of us are quite self-taught. So I'm fortunate enough to be only just 30, so I've grown up with a lot of these platforms. But that's my only natural advantage, really. So my question was, you said post regularly. What sort of volume of posts do you put up? What sort of posting pattern do you find drives less engagement?
This week is National Transplant Week. I found that out on Sunday night by, I can't remember how.
You've done a pink logo and everything.
Yeah, and I set up from the national resources a post that went live at 7 o'clock every morning. I can forget social media this week. And all of that information I got off the Blood and Transport website. I literally copied and pasted it. I used Business Suite to make sure that they were timed to come on. I made sure I posted it on Instagram and Facebook at the same time, saved me time. I've forgotten about it now. So then during the week I can think about, so what's happened today, you know? What happened in EastEnders last night? What might people be interested in? There's apparently a really good storyline about prostate cancer coming up on EastEnders. That might be something that people are interested in. We might be able to offer something around that. So you can do it en masse. You could get one of your, you're quite old at 30 really, aren't you?
Yeah, it's true.
So we've got apprentices coming into practices who know about threads and certainly don't know about coils. They could do some of this. All we need to make sure is they know our voice. And I think that's probably one of the hardest things, is knowing what your practice voice is like. But PCNs could do all of this for practices. So before I moved, I encouraged our PCN to have a care coordinator that dealt with social media and PPGs, and they just appointed her when I left. So she now runs all of that for that PCN. So it's possible. And then that same message goes out on all of those Facebook pages each morning.
Cool, thank you.
Can I share a thought, not a question, please?
Yeah, sorry.
So for years and years and years, I've obtained my primary care by just going into the next consulting room and saying, Bonnie, can you give me a prescription for this? But now suddenly I'm retired and I am a patient, and I go and stand in the waiting room and I queue up with everybody else. I go to an absolutely brilliant practice, but communication is not always fantastic. So the other day I was queuing to make an appointment, and there was a lovely gentleman in front of me, he's probably 75, and he very eloquently said, I think I probably need a medication review. And the brilliant, lovely receptionist said, righto, I think you'll need to see the pharmacist then. Now, at that point, everything just broke down because he had no idea what she was talking about. He thought that he was being sent to the pharmacist in the boots in the village. She was trying to give him an appointment. He was saying, no, I'll just go down there and make my own appointment, and it was a disaster. So my point is that when you take on extra staff, communication is so important, and so is training. Now the second thing I'll tell you, and you may be aware of this, is that I hear word on the street sometimes when people are asked to see a pharmacist or asked to see a physiotherapist, there's no denying they feel that they are being a bit fobbed off. That's what I hear. I wanted to see the doctor about my backache and they told me I had to see the blooming physiotherapist. But light bulb moment, if one of the partners was to post a little video saying, hey, great news, we now have a physiotherapist and we have a pharmacist and you can go and see them and get really expert care, I think they'd love it.
They would, and it's the trust thing. It's the trust element. They trust their GP.
I think personal practice videos for me, for people of my generation, would work beautifully.
They do.
Good
And you know, put them up in your waiting room as well. Put them on the waiting room screens as well. Make sure people have got access to them. Another good person, if you don't want to make your own, is Dr. Gandalf. And if you know Gandhi, he does really, really good videos. He did one of, I can't remember which childhood disease it was last year, but he did an amazing one about, was it scarlet fever? It might have been the scarlet fever outbreak, but that was shared tons of times on lots of practices pages. So I think it's really, really good to use that different media that will have the face of the practice on there.
Got one here with Tracy, then I'll be able.
Thank you. So I'm Tracy Osborne, the Education Lead for the WSPMA. Just on this, very good timing, but we're just about to send out some surveys to all of you to see what are your needs when it comes to social media. We found a company that we will be putting on some sessions starting in the new year. So the events are all out for the rest of the year. You should have had an email from me. If not, have a look on Eventbrite or look on the website. But starting in January, we will have some social media education updates for you as well.
And honestly, just while Nigel's running across the room, if you see anything on my Facebook that you want to nick, just take it. And if you want to email me about how to use Canva or anything else, just email. We can do a web chat thing.
Hello, I'm the Operations Manager from Social Medical Practice. It's more just around the management of it and how you manage it. So again, I've grown up with social media and I'm totally on board with how effective social media can be, but I guess I am quite sceptical of the potential backlash and it being another platform to receive negativity. So, for instance, when you post videos, do you turn your comments off or do you leave them on? And if you leave them on, if there is a comment with quite significant potential concerns, do you then contact that patient, or is the group public? Do you request people to join first so you can manage who joins it? How regularly do you review it? So I guess it's more just around how you manage your social media.
It's an open group. Comments are on. It's a page. And I quite like those people who make a fool of themselves and put a negative comment on there, because that's actually what I think they do. Because more often than not, it's not me that responds, it's another patient. So I think that's a really powerful thing. And the comment that I showed you at the beginning to Jeff, how great is that we can respond to Jeff and tell him the actual facts of what's going on? If he'd have just moaned about that to our receptionist, then it'd just gone like, washed over them, wouldn't it? Because that's just a normal moan. That's given us a platform to be able to share that. Poor old Jeff doesn't know I'm sharing it down here with you. But it's in public now, so we can do that. We can use it as an example. So I think, for my practice and the two practices I've worked at recently with social media, the power is in having the comments on and letting people make those negative comments and us then being able to answer properly. Has that answered your question? I know it probably still makes...
Do you review it daily then? How regularly is the comments reviewed?
Well, I get a notification on my phone, so when I'm, you know, and I share this with our GP assistant, so she will also get those comments, and between us we'll say, oh God, what we're going to do with Jeff, you know, how we're going to reply to Jeff. If it was something quite serious, I'd probably just talk to the partner and say, this is what Jeff said, this is what I'm going to say back. But normally there isn't anything too awful on there. I think in my last practice I've had to delete one thing, and that was because they'd named the receptionist and said how awful that person was. So I deleted that and I contacted the patient directly because I could tell who it was. And we then put a post up about, you know, respect within social media as well as face to face to kind of counteract it. So I guess it's hard to say how much of a job it is, but I don't think it's something you should take on your own. So find that other person. And the R's role are a way of us finding that other person as well. You know, in my case now, a GP assistant has got it as part of her role. But it's great for a care coordinator to have one that's dealing with patient engagement. Great role.
Is there anybody in this room who is bursting to share a major access success that they have had this year? Anybody got anything they just feel has made a little bit of a difference? This is probably a stupid thing to ask because I can feel it falling flat. Come on, there must be somebody who just is secretly proud of something. No, that's not
I think it's lunch.
No, it's not lunch.
Oh, it's not lunch. Oh, it's not lunch. It is go and meet the exhibitors.
It's half an hour dedicated time for
Okay,
meeting the
that's absolutely fine. That's what we'll do. There are some fantastic sponsors downstairs. Please make sure that you go and chat to them, and then we will have lunch in half an hour. Thank you very much. Thank you, Kay.
Thanks everyone.
I thought that when the morning was really well, I was so fed up with the presentation of what it was like. I don't know what we would have done without doing I went through to because I didn't work with Oxford, I worked but I said I wasn't very happy. No, well, probably not very because Jan emailed me yesterday to say everything's run through